Hey guys, Crystal Thompson here. Today I have the collaboration between Simon Says Stamp and Paper Smooches for the Decal Fall Stamp Timber exclusive collaboration. We are using lots of these little stamps to create some beautiful layers. We're using some basic cardstock, a brown, a pumpkin, a dark teal, the Brutus Monroe penny. You're gonna need some brown and some crisp inks and clementine from Simon Says. We're going to begin by stamping the solid stamps of the leaves in darker colors than what we have for cardstock. So for example, we have this beautiful brown cardstock. I selected the Altenew in Espresso, which is just a really nice dark brown, and I'm going to alternate in between the leaves. So I'm using that beautiful maple leaf and then switching it out and using a different leaf and just creating a really nice background to set everything, and it's going to look very nice and very sharp. And honestly, it's super easy. Be sure to have some baby wipes on hand to wipe down the stamps. Turn your stamps clockwise or counterclockwise so they're not all facing the same way, so you get the little edges from that leaf, from that maple leaf, and it makes it really pretty. Be sure to get some extra space for those edges. Like I said, you will not be able to see that center, so if you want to skip the center, you totally do it. I think it's most important to fill up those edges, and this is a super easy way to create your own background paper, and these stamps are just super pretty. Want to be sure that you cover your surface, especially when using dark colors such as these. Gonna move on, and still, since I have my espresso ink color on it, I'm gonna have a piece of cardstock separately, and I'm gonna stamp several of these images, both the maple leaves and then the other leaf that we were using earlier. We're gonna end up cutting these guys out and using them for the layering. So since you already have the ink color out and your stamp is already nice and full of this ink, it makes it super easy to go ahead and just stamp the stuff on the cardstock and then on the white cardstock. We're going to repeat the process that we did with that brown. We're going to do it with the clementine from Simon, and this one was a lot easier because the cardstock is a little smaller. So when you're layering some cardstock, be sure to get different sizes, so we have the rectangle for that brown, and then we're doing kind of an off square here with this clementine cardstock and ink, and then we're going to start doing the little strips. If you do not have cardstock and ink, so you don't have an ink color that's a little bit darker than your cardstock, if you have watermark ink or embossing ink, you can use that, and it's going to grab the color from your paper, bring it up, and just make it a little bit darker. Okay, so for that little tip, we're going to move on to, again, stamp the leaves in that clementine on a separate piece of a white cardstock, and again, we're gonna cut these out to layer them when we start putting our card together. All right, we're going to grab that Desert Night from Altenew. We are going to stamp that beautiful maple leaf, and then we're going to grab that little other leaf, and we're going to stamp it on the other side. And again, we're going to use our Tim Holtz little scissors, little snippets, and we're going to hand cut all of these guys. If you get the coordinating dies, then you don't have to do that. We're going to set that aside to dry before we trim, and then we are going to grab the same stamps that we had used earlier and stamp that little piece of the turquoise that we've got going on. And again, we're going to repeat the process like we did with the brown and the yellow, and it's just going to create some layering and some effects, and it's just going to be really pretty and tie the whole thing together. While we allow everything else to dry, I have my piece of acetate. We're going to stamp the Welcome Autumn with the Simon Says stamp, embossing in watermark ink. We're going to get a nice solid image. I'm going to grab it from the other side because vellum can be a little bit tricky to pick up. And then we're going to use the Brutus Monroe penny, which is a beautiful copper embossing powder, and it's going to match everything super nice, but it's going to stand out from the brown and any other colors. We're going to heat emboss this and heat set with our heat gun. Now we're going to place our card together. So we're going to place that beautiful orange cardstock onto that brown, and then we're going to place the teal over it with just some flat adhesive. I'm going to grab a little piece of foam. I'm going to place it on the back of that autumn, and then going to remove that backing and place it on the card base. If anybody is listening, please do make some clear foam That would be awesome. You can hide that foam with some of the little leaves that we had cut from earlier, and it would totally hide it. And then use flat adhesive. But in this case, we're just going to let it be. We're going to use that gorgeous pumpkin from the kit, using some foam adhesive on the back, and we're just going to continue layering all these beautiful leaves that we had stamped. And honestly, it was so easy by stamping the cardstock and stamping our white cardstock and then hand cutting it. It just made everything to match and is really just adding these items to do the patterned backgrounds on the card. And guys, as that finishes up, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this quick tutorial. I appreciate it. This is Crystal Thompson for Simon Says Stamps. Be sure to stick around. We have a lot more material for you. Can't wait to see what you guys make. Have an amazing day.